The Lutfur Rahman case, which you just referred to, now he's been absolutely pilloried in the press, and he's pilloried by this report by this barrister. I don't think he's a judge, Richard Morey QC. Now, it highlights an issue that if Muslims, there is a body of Muslim opinion which says don't vote. That might be Al-Qaeda, which says that democracy is just a scam, or it might be a Hizb ut-Tahrir, which sort of says that voting is haram, I think I'm right in saying. And then you get Muslims who do get involved. Now, I've read some of the reports by Peter Oborne, and some of the accusations seem to me odd. One of them is that he rewards his supporters. Hello. That is what political parties do. I mean, Danny Alexander's Highlands, when he was Chief Secretary, I mean, there were endless sort of lovely things happened to Highlanders. I don't know whether it was a pure coincidence that Mr. Alexander, whose loss I mourn as an MP, was Chief Secretary. Look, this kind of stuff goes on. This is how politics works in a democracy. Purists may not like it. That's what happens. And so if Mr. Rahman rewarded his supporters, all he was doing was following the slightly debased political tradition which all parties have adhered to for hundreds of years in this country. I was yet more troubled by this claim that somehow he had inflicted spiritual injury on his supporters or threatened.
Or used spiritual influence. Yeah.
Used spiritual, this is fabulous. And if you look at, this was revisiting a 19th century law, and the context is very interesting. This law was was produced in the wake of the secret ballot, when Irish voters suddenly were able not to be scrutinised by their landlords. They tended to be Catholics, and there was a fear that the priests would somehow stir up these peasants against the benign Anglican ascendancy in Ireland. Now, it's very political. These are very deep waters, and the language which the English elite in the 19th century used about these Irish peasants was extremely racist and ugly. And they were categorizing one section of Britain, which Ireland was then part of, as being inferior. There was a racist take. And I don't know whether Richard Morey QC, how familiar with what he was, these deep waters he was entering, but he was clearly making similar imputations, or open to the charge, he was making similar imputations about the Bangladeshi community in East London.
Well, I'm just going to quote you some of his words. I mean, from his statement, he said, "In carrying out the assessment, a distinction must be made between a sophisticated, highly educated and politically literate community and a community which is traditional, respectful of authority and possibly not fully integrated with the other communities living in the area."
This is very much echoes the language of the Protestant ascendancy in Ireland in the 19th century, occupying, which was seen by the Irish today still as an occupation.
And can that be acceptable in the 21st century?
Well, I think that, in other words, I think what we're saying here, I don't know enough about it, but I think it does raise questions about that report into Mayor Rahman. I don't know all the details.
Now,